Right, cool. So yeah, this might not take too long. I'm expecting that. So this is going to be a session about how to get the most out of Ninja Monkeys. I guess the overall thing is you get as much out of the Ninja Monkeys depending on what your goal is as a streamer and how much time I guess you're willing to put in. Because people have different goals and reasons why they stream, and depending on what those goals are, will determine how much time and effort you decide to put in. But then ultimately as well, at the same time, like, you need to understand, I think as well, how hard streaming is. Because I think, like, ultimately a lot of people that stream will do it and think that it's easy, and it's not easy. And the reason why the Ninja Monkeys exist is purely because it's not easy. Hence it's a support network for streamers to help us all grow and things like that. And there's kind of no shortcuts to success in the streaming world, I would say. I think ultimately everything boils back to the kind of content that you're creating. The Ninja Monkeys is there to help you get exposure for the content that you're creating. So I mean, first and foremost, the main things you want to focus on is improving that content, I guess, blah, 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 blah. And time's actually one of the biggest challenges I find as well for streaming. It is such a time, not burden, but you need to put a lot of time into it to get a lot out of it, if that kind of makes sense. And also figure out what you're about as a streamer, which again is another hard thing. Regardless of that, the Ninja Monkeys, the Ninja Monkeys is the Ninja Monkeys, and our main values is to have a place for streamers to network, grow, and support each other, but at the same time respect each other and encourage that growth. They're the main three things that I would say we're all about. But ultimately, what we try to do is be a selfless community and give back as much as we can to all the streamers. And the way you can get back that support is in a number of different ways. First one, like, you have to kind of have the mindset of, you have to be willing to help others without really expecting anything back in return, and it will just come. There's a lot of times I hear people get hung up about, I've gone and I've lurked all these streams and I am not getting anything back. Lurking's not going to get you anywhere because you're not building any solid connections with people if you're just going to sit in the background. You kind of need to chat to them, get to know people, build those connections, and then people are going to come back to your streams. As a general rule of thumb, when supporting others, you want to do that. Lurking, having 50 tabs open, even though Twitch only counts 2 as views, is not going to help. So you really need to kind of, if you're going to get the most out of the Ninja Monkeys or any other Discords you want to be in terms of networking and getting to know people, then you really need to focus on actually putting time into communicating with individuals, whether that's in general chat or on the streams or whatever, because you have to form those connections. Another way to form the connections within the Ninja Monkeys is to basically become a community elite, because you'll be put into a team where you'll be, you don't feel like you have to constantly talk to people, but you'll be doing a job there, kind of a job, in kind of growing and supporting the community. And as a result of doing that job, you're more likely to be involved in discussions and things like that. And over time, naturally, those kind of the connections will form anyway, naturally, which is probably a better way to form the connections over time. I don't think there's any quick way to kind of form the connections, but as a general rule of thumb, to get the most out of Ninja Monkeys, you want to network and either try and apply for maybe an elite role if it tickles your fancy. It will help. What else? So we got the raids. The raids is a huge thing that we do in the Ninja Monkeys. It's probably the main reason the Ninja Monkeys is as successful as it is, and I say that because, well, there's a mixture of things that actually go into it, but the raids is probably one of the single biggest contributors to the success of the Ninja Monkeys, because that in itself is a tangible thing that provides evident views and exposure for streamers, and as a collective we have been able to get reasonably high numbers in those raids. I think they vary between like 20 to 60 or whatever, and they go to different channels and they hop around and they give people the exposure. It gives people a chance to showcase their content to the people that are coming into their channel to see what they're all about. And if people like the content, then they will follow you. No one is obliged to follow you. We're not a follow for follow community. We're all about the support for support. And if people like your content, then they're going to follow you. And that's the kind of culture we want here. None of that follow for follow shit. Anyway, so the raids is a big thing, and we run the raids, well, now going to be increased 7, but at the moment it's 6. And we run the raids You know, like clockwork, every 3 to 4 hours, everyone hops into a voice channel. In that voice channel, we all then go and go to visit loads of different streamers in the Now Live section, and we hype them up and talk to them and get to know them, to build the connections, to bring them into the community at the same time, to also benefit joining the raids for you and everyone else as an individual and the Ninja Monkeys as a whole. But that kind of looping support system is kind of the core of what kind of Ninja Monkeys values are, right? It's all that support for support kind of stuff. So that is a big thing that you can do as an individual to really benefit from the Ninja Monkeys, is to get yourself in those raids. You're more likely to get raided, but also have a selfless kind of outlook on it, because that will ultimately benefit you. And I say this from experience. When I first started streaming, I was exceptionally selfish. I thought that the right things to do were to post things everywhere and like, what is it like, so, and just, you know, only think about me. And I when I first started streaming, and I stopped halfway through, when I first started streaming, I thought the right things to do was to go, you know, I want subs, I want this, come and follow me, come and watch me, follow for follow, yeah, it's really good, let's do that. And actually I made a Discord way before, and I found it didn't work when you kind of make things about you. And what I want to do here is make it about everyone, I guess, and keep it this way as the value. I don't think the values have actually ultimately really changed. I think the way we are as a community will remain that way, you know, and that's important, and it will remain that way. I'm pretty sure. No, we will, 100%. It will stay that way, and that's why we've grown the way we have just over 6 months, and it's awesome. Anyway, I'm babbling on. You're gonna want to read all the rules and regs and all that really cool boring stuff, but it's important to read all that stuff because you need to know how to operate in the server. So like the mods, keep an eye on all that stuff. But follow the rules and regs. There is minimum activity requirements in the Discord. That's more to keep the Discord alive and active. I mean, fun fact is we'd probably have about 30-40% more members if we didn't do that, but we don't want that. We want a closer knit kind of community as possible, and a most active kind of community. You'll find a lot of Discords won't do what we do, that activity stuff, but it is good for the Discord and everyone in it, because that activity stuff is super, super important. So that's why we have the activity stuff, is because we want a community that's alive. Okay, and so yeah, I was just going to say, you want to read all the regs, all the how to use all the channels, all that kind of good stuff, where to post your links when you go live. We've got YouTube promotion stuff. We've got special events for charity stuff and giveaways. What else we got going on here? We got the appreciation channel, which is another thing that will help you. So if you go in there every time you have a stream and you get raided by someone, or someone drops you subs, or you raid someone, or someone raids you, if you want a place to appreciate those people and shout them out, that's a good place to do it. It just acknowledges them and it makes them feel warm inside. So it's always a good thing to kind of do after your streams. Even though you may not think it is worthwhile, it more than likely will not hurt if you do it. So I would definitely recommend doing that. We've also got the stream support section, which I haven't mentioned. So that stream support stuff is for Raid Junkie mainly, featured members, Movember supporters, and then roughly anyone else will come last, basically. So that's kind of like a shout out system that we use to benefit the most active members when they stream, in kind of in the middle of raids, but not really in the middle of raids, but it's just like an extra layer of something that we can give back to people for being active, because what goes around comes around and all that kind of good stuff. So in order to get the Raid Junkie role, you want to be attending as many raids as possible, as I've already spoken about. And in order to get featured member, that typically, I mean, it's quite weighted towards the elites, though we do try and fit some normal members in, like 2 or 3 normal members. Most of them will be elites, and that's purely because the metrics. So we basically have, like, in the different teams, if we're being open, like in the different teams, we have like people that perform higher than others, and it changes every week, and we reward those people that perform higher than others within those roles with the featured member. And then we also pick up on people that are in like the general chat showing love, or tech support where people are also helping out those people, and we look at those people as well, and those normally the typically the normal members that we will shove into there as well, because the Raid Junkie role is for the raiders, so that's for anyone. That's kind of like a fair playing field, I would say. It's just all about how many raids you attend, and then the top 15 will get kind of, out of the top 15, 4 will be picked for the Raid Junkie role. There we go. Another thing which we encourage at Ninja Monkey is initiative, stuff like that. So I'll use a recent example. So a random person I'd never even spoken to before, a guy called Wild Zonkey, he just randomly messaged me out of the blue, and he's like, "I can make websites. Do you want me to make a website?" And I'm like, "Awesome, do it." Like, we've always wanted to have one, we just haven't got around to it because it's not at the top of the freaking list. But off he's gone, and he's already creating the thing. So we encourage, like, people, if they want to make changes or do things within the community or think things are a good idea, then put them forward. A lot of the stuff would have probably already been thought about. We find that a lot now because of how old we're getting. We've already kind of have our strategy. We've already tried quite a lot of different things out. There's still a lot more things we want to try, and there's still a lot more things we want to improve. But, and some ideas can be absolutely ingenious that we hear about. Like the bot thing alone, all the bot stuff that we're doing with the raids, which some of you may or may not be aware of. Like, we have like a special bot created by Virage, which will automatically verify links based on a priority listing, which is limited by the amount of people that can go into that slot per raid. It is an exceptionally complex kind of, I say complex, the logic is complex, which drives it, but it works exceptionally well from what I've seen so far. And it also, it doesn't really weight or favour, I would say. Yes, it promotes the featured members higher because they're more active, but it will always get to new members, or it will always get to, the members that are quite active and or joining the raids as well consistently, regardless of what role they have in the community, which is it's quite good. So it weights and kind of shares that out really, really well.
I just wanted to pop in and just see what I could do a bit more, because I struggle with my work hours and stuff to actually do a little bit more other than maybe attend raids. But yeah, I always want to look out to do.
I've seen you in a lot of raids recently, dude. It's crazy. What you can do to help? I mean, like, as I said in the DMs, dude, like, it depends what role you want to do. So we've got there's 2 more roles that are actually coming up, which I'm gonna hopefully get in today. The first one that we're going to be adding is the welcome squad, which I think I mentioned yesterday, which is basically a role where when people come into the welcome channel, so all elites and leaders get pings, you'll see. So when elites come in, we just like tick it, and then the elite will just like welcome them in gen chat, or we have a tech support role, which is probably coming up to help people in the assistance channels, so that people have somewhere to ping, because there's been a lot of people going, "Oh, my stuff just gets missed," because it's quite ad hoc at the moment. And then we kind of have all the other stuff, right? So moderation, recruitment, content creation is quite light. So I say quite light. So if you're looking to not kind of have the burden of thinking you have to get loads of stuff done and stuff, like, content creation is probably the best. But then the minimum requirements across all of them are quite small. So for instance, like the content creation, as long as you can just create a random video or a GIF every now and again, and the socials team will use that stuff just to put on the socials, like as general content. We have like events, which is the events that you see we do, like the COD Fridays or the competitive event stuff. That's quite in depth and probably quite a lot of work, and that team doesn't need to be very big, so we kind of left that. Recruitment is just like recruiting 10 people a week. It's probably easier said than done. That probably, if you're good at it, it's not very time consuming, but it takes a bit of learning on how to navigate the socials and what to say to people and that kind of stuff. And then you've kind of got the socials, which is literally just doing Instagram and Twitter posts from the content that the content creation team will give you or other people may give you. And then you've got moderations, quite workload heavy potentially, but then you only have to do 10 activity checks a week, which is 10 commands. So that's quite, well, it's not as laborious. And then you've got the raid squad captain. That is probably the most intense one, because there's a lot of training and a lot of work that goes into understanding how to be a raid squad captain. And then you've obviously got to attend those hour slots whenever you decide, twice a week regardless. So they're the different roles.
I mean, that new welcome one that you said seems pretty doable. Like, because I'm about by my phone most of the day. Like, if people join in that welcome thing, they want to introduce themselves, I could just drop a little hello and a welcome. That's cool.
Yeah, cool. Okay, fine. So I need to add it in, and I need to change the application thing to include that. But yeah, I'll add it in, and then I'll announce it once it's been added in.
Yeah, cool.
And there's literally a bunch of templates as well. So we want people to put their own spin on the welcome messages, but like there's a bunch of templates if you're not sure and stuff, and some guidance and
no worries. I can waffle with the best of them, so that's fine.
Yeah, it's good as well, because it kind of, wrong word, but it kind of forces you to talk to them anyway, and they'll probably talk back to you as well. So it kind of forces that networking as well, which I think is pretty good as well to be a part of.
Yeah, I'm with that. That's cool.
So So yeah.